Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulil Kareem amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Wanakkam, everybody. This is Sharif from UAF. I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of UAF Chamber of Commerce in welcoming you all to our first Star Trek session. Believe me that it is you who make this event special by joining our sessions. You all know that normally we invoke the blessings of Almighty. I would like to call upon Brother Nadeem to recite few verses from the Holy Quran so that we all have the blessings from the Almighty. Over to you, Nadeem bhai.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين صدق الله العظيم.
Thanks a lot, Nadeem bhai. May Allah shower His blessings on all of us. Now, coming back to the session, the word Star Trek reminds me about two stars. One star who actually made all Chennai's proud by winning the fourth IPL title yesterday, none other than MS Dhoni. And the other star is actually that star who actually built the infrastructure for Chennai. It includes the Chepauk Chidambaram Stadium, where Chennai Super Kings normally does practice before going to IPL. I'm sure by this time you all know about whom I'm talking. I thought it would be appropriate to start this session by just reminding our founder who has done key landmarks. And believe me, at one point of time, in his group, there were close to 1 lakh people, working under him. We all will agree that he was a two-star in all aspects. Now, as far as this session is concerned, the name Star Trek is actually taken from an American television series, which inspires a lot of people. The uniqueness about this original series is basically they tell the ambitious vision that they had to reach where nobody has reached in the next 5 years. This is very similar to UAF, which also has got a very ambitious vision. We almost all of us know what UAF vision is all about, but I thought for good order's sake, I will just mention it here, just to do a small job of memory and a recap of what UAF mission is all about. To emerge as a premium forum for enabling the backward community and society at large to become inspirational and formidable contributors to the nation and beyond through economic enhancement, education, and social development. Now, to put it very simple in the words of our president, it is very simple. Support Tamil Nadu, support South India, support India and our stakeholders to grow 1.5x. In line with our vision to make our members inspire and become formidable contributors, we are having this kind of engagement activities with stars like Mr. Nilesh Ved, where they are not only global business leaders, successful business leaders, but also those who have achieved great heights in their career. The format is very simple format where two key people will have a fireside chat for almost 40 minutes, followed by a Q&A session from members for 20 minutes, where all members can share your questions in the chat box, and we will be asking on behalf of you to our star speaker. And the session will get concluded by a vote of thanks by one of our eminent members. To start this fireside chat session, I would like to call upon a person who needs least introduction in our group. He is the president of UAF Chamber of Commerce. He is also the founder, president, and CEO of Coal and Oil Group. To put it very simple, he is the backbone of all the UAF activities that we do. I would like to hand over this session to our president to take it further and introduce our star speaker for the day. Over to you, President.
So thank you very much, Karimullah Sharif, for the introduction. So first and foremost, I have to thank my dear friend, buddy, Nilesh Ved, for having kindly agreed to come and participate. Very kind of you, Nilesh, and I'm sure all our members are really looking forward to your session today. Just wanted to reiterate, like what Kalimullah Sharif was mentioning earlier, our vision very much remains, we want to be sort of formidable contributors to the nation and beyond, contribute to society very much is there in our agenda. So this has been our vision. We are trying to see how much of an impact we can make in society, formidable and inspirational contributors to the nation and beyond. And what is our mission in the UEF? So just to give you a little background, Nilesh. So UEF currently has about 450 to 500 members. And we are trying to see how is that we can support Tamil Nadu, support India. Of course, Kalimullah Sharif was mentioning 1.5x. That's another way to look at it. But long and short of it, we are trying to see a 15x growth from where we are today. So basically, Tamil Nadu is currently, let's say, $290, $300 billion economy. And is there some way we can support Tamil Nadu become a $4 trillion economy, sort of 15x by 2050, right? Play a small role in it, whatever, small bit of role you can play. Currently, the UEF's the community's GDP in Tamil Nadu is about $13.5 billion. If we grow at 8%, it reaches 135 billion. If it grows at 12%, we go to 200 billion. So we're just trying to figure out how is that we can support Tamil Nadu grow 15x, our members grow 15x, and whatnot. So this is a little bit about the vision and mission of the UEF. 450 members is what we have now. 45 education institutions affiliated to us, 137,000 students. We're trying to see if we can encourage startups in all these institutions. 45 institutions have maybe 100 startups each, so for possible pool of 4,500 companies. So these are all, some of the targets that the UEF has. We've organized 3 or 4 summits already, the World Summit, we have organized last year, trade summits and whatnot. So good support from Government of India, good support from Government of Tamil Nadu and other parts of the world as well. Incidentally, as we are speaking, even the UAE embassy reached out the other day to sort of connect with us. So this is what the UEF is trying to do, just to give you a high level. So my proud pleasure to welcome Nilesh to this session. And thank you very much, members and supporters, for participating today. Nilesh, what can I say? He is just one of those, understated, low-key people, but doing a lot of interesting things. I still remember sort of the first store that Nilesh had opened up. I think it must have been 96, 95. It was a bookstore. And lo and behold, by the time I close my eyes and, open it again, Nilesh has got 2,000 stores now, right? To go from 0 to 2,000 in such a short period of time and to be sort of one of the most renowned retailers in the Middle East and in India is something remarkable. And that's really what we wanted to hear from Nilesh. So how do you go from sort of one store? And if I'm not mistaken, even Amazon started off like that with one bookstore. So is Nilesh also going to become the next Jeff Bezos? Who knows? Starting off with bookstore, going to 2,000 stores, and how do we go on to other things? So this is a little background about Nilesh. Thank you very much, Nilesh, for joining us today. So we're going to have a fireside chat. So I'm just going to throw some questions at you, and we can sort of, take it from there. So a little bit about yourself, Nilesh. So where are you originally from? Where are your roots? How long have you been in the Middle East? And so just for the benefit of the audience, just a little background, please, Nilesh.
Ahmed, first of all, assalamu alaikum to all of you, and thank you for being on this Zoom call. And Ahmed and Kamil, everyone, thank you for getting me on this. It is my honor and pleasure to be here. Before we get into that, Ahmed, I want to tell everybody 2 stories about you and me, which you probably don't remember, right? One of them, when I came back from Boston, Ahmed and we went to school in Boston, and when he came back, I always wanted to go back to New York or Boston. I thought the city was very small, the market size was small, and I thought I didn't belong here. But Ahmed told me something that made me stay here. You want to be a big boy in a small city or a small boy in a big city? He probably doesn't remember this. And I stayed in this city because of that, number one. Number two is we got a call one day before the Palm Island was opening, before they were launching Palm Island. Ahmed and me went to see to buy a house on the Palm Island. This is probably 2003 or 4. And we looked at the whole thing, and the guy says, buy it today. I promise you it will double in a few years. And Ahmed and me both thought, these guys are just joking with us. This is never going to happen. This Palm Island will never be built. We came back in the car, we were laughing. I called my wife from that place and I said, I'm thinking of buying this house. And she wanted more details. And the guy says, I don't have details. If you trust us, buy it. And we didn't trust them. He said, this is not going to happen. We probably lost a lot of money. That house, which was available at 5.5 million today's worth, 47, 48 million, right? And that is something I learned also on the way, to trust people. But trust people that you believe that they're going to deliver, right? But coming back on Ahmed's question on my background, my great-grandfather moved from Kutch in Gujarat to Muscat in 1904. So we've been in this region before World War I, World War II, or before India, Pakistan. So the Middle East or Oman and Dubai or UAE is home. More than even, we spend most of our time here than even in India. But we've learned a lot from this and see how we can drive from here. I went to school in Dubai. I went to Indian school in Dubai. Then I went to college in Boston and I came back. When I came back, I joined the traditional family business, which is all my uncles, my dad, everybody, which was gold bullion. And anything and everything I needed to do, I needed 3 approvals or 4 approvals. And I wanted to grow much more faster than go through the whole family politics before I could do it. So I left that business and joined my wife, who had started one single store. And I just took over that business and took it to another level, right? So that's where my whole journey started from. Right? But
so, I've heard so much about Kutchi businessmen and, the drive for entrepreneurship from Kutch Nilesh. I've always wondered, Gujaratis are always well known for business, and particularly Kutchis. So what's the secret sauce in Kutch, or how is it? What prompted your entrepreneurship journey? Is it because of your origins? Maybe a little bit of that, Nilesh.
As my entrepreneurship journey is when I was 12, 13, 14, or every time a summer break comes or any breaks would come from Dubai, I would end up in Muscat. And in Muscat, I would be working at the stores, right? I would be working all day and learning from that and seeing how we can do it. So I enjoyed it. At 18, 19, when I was doing summer vacations from university, I would love that my father would take a long vacation and I could take over, right? So when he would go, I would love to make decisions, right? And these were large decisions, but I was making calculated decisions, right? I never took crazy risks. My formula was very simple. I want to take that kind of risk, but I want that kind of return, not the other way around. I see a lot of people taking that kind of risk with that kind of return, right? It doesn't work in my world. So and the other thing was, I was very good at finance and maths. So that is something I loved. So numbers were something, my game. So I would calculate and see what it is and believe that the market size is much bigger and believe that we can do a lot more than what it is. A lot of times we were pulled back as a family or something because we didn't have a big fat vision, right? We need to have a big fat vision to get to the next level, right? And the fear of saying we'll be in the old businesses, and if we don't move next, we'll not be relevant, right? And the other thing I also believed is labor arbitrage is not a business, right? When I say that, when in the Gulf states or even in manufacturing, in some areas, I'm not saying all, right? People are squeezing the labor to make that margin and sell. That is not a good strategy. That is a very short-term strategy. We are going to only win by good strategies, So it's important that we understand what is our strategy, what is next for us. Right? So Kutchi businessman is not about Kutchi or Gujarati. It's just that the drive is different, right? One, when you see this also with Sindhi businessmen, right? Kutchis don't have a script. So they go to Gujarati schools. They live in an area of Kutch. They speak, their food is very Gujarati, but their language is very Sindhi, right? So it's a mix of that drives you to leave home to go and make it big. When I left my family businesses, that drive to build something was very important, right? And that drive was, Ahmed also says this, is I got good advice. I got good advice from people. One of the advice that I got was when Indian businessmen, specifically when they make their first $1 million, they want to go buy a house. They want to go put money in the deposit. They want to go and save. Yeah, but I got advice saying that don't buy a house. I said, why do you say that? He said, because the amount of money that you make from your business and you keep making, house will come. Don't worry about it. But if the business doesn't work, then you'll have to sell your house. So those are good advice that I got from people, right? The second advice, which also helped me big time, was when you have a very small capital, you cannot be doing or giving credit, right? I didn't have capital. So when I didn't have capital, I needed to find a business that was cash, and that was only retail, right? So these are good, simple rules that you start with that helps you build I would say, a culture around your organization of saying, how are we going to do this?
So would you say, Nilesh, I mean, crisis is opportunity or necessity is the mother of invention, right? So in the Kutch area, in the Sindh area, in the, Sindhis and whatnot, not having the resources, being pushed because there isn't anything. Would you say that really pushes people to go out of their comfort zone because there isn't anything? You really have to do something, right?
I think hunger really drives people. When you're hungry, you really go hunt for it, wherever it comes from, as long as legal, right?
Yeah.
And crisis really pushes us. Our business grew, you'll be surprised, we grew after 9/11, 2001. There were no landlords who were talking to us in the shopping malls because we were a small player in 2001. 2001 comes in, all landlords are calling us, let's sit down. Same thing happened in 2008. Same thing happened in 15. 2020, the same thing happened. We opened this year 225 stores. When the whole world is saying that you're going crazy. When the deals that landlords are giving us, it makes business sense to move forward with that. So when you get crisis, you've got to be careful. How are you going to drive it? When it's dropping down, that you have to be careful. There will be a bottom and it will turn. The government told us, especially in Dubai, that this will be a W-shaped economy. We saw a V-shape, right? And that is because of our understanding. I mean, I know a lot of people are also very good at it also, is that mindset of having data on my iPhone, right? I would know what happened anywhere and everywhere in my iPhone, even now, right? Although I'm far away, but I can tell you exactly what happened yesterday night, which is very late in my world, right? I play cricket. I need to know the score ball by ball. And I'm not going to call anyone or beg anyone in my accounts or finance department to tell me, did we make money yesterday or no? A lot of people don't know that answer. And I was driven by that answer of saying, is this working or no? If there's something working, let's press the gas. If something is not working, let's cut it. Right. I hope I answered your question.
Sure. Yeah. So basically, crisis is opportunity. I mean, that's the a theme that we had last year, and we all know that the whole world has gone through the crisis, and COVID. The last 2 years has not made things any easy for anybody. And what is this, Nilesh? With you are probably a prime example of it. You are a product of Dubai. Every time Dubai goes into a crisis, and maybe by virtue of that, businesses in Dubai also, it comes back, kicks back, and comes out stronger and stronger and stronger. What is it? And then here we are thinking crisis. People are sinking and problems and whatnot. So how does it happen, Nilesh? What is the mindset of sort of Dubai Inc. And you are an active part of Dubai. So what do you think it is?
I think number one is during crisis, you build stronger relations. Are we doing that during crisis? When it's going on the peak, nobody builds. I mean, everybody's flying. So it's a tailwind coming and everybody's moving that way. During crisis, we build the strongest relationship and finding solutions together. How do we solve it? Right? I used to be the chairman of the retail business group in Dubai. This was the first time during crisis, I got all landlords together and all retailers on a Zoom call like this and say, guys, how are we going to sort this out, right? We were the first ones to say, let's close it because our team members, they want to go to the malls because they're saying, Sheikh Hamdan, the crown prince said, stay at home and we had the malls open. So he said, if boss has said, stay at home, then we have to close all the malls. We closed the malls. Then after 20 days, we were calling them, say, can we open the malls, please? Together. It wasn't that we're going to do different directions. Strategies have to be, there has to be alignment of strategies, be it with your customer or be it with your vendor. What alignment do we have? And that is really helps you in crisis. To understand is that I know it's a pain for you. Let's understand what your pain is and let's understand what our pain is. And when we understand each other's pain, it's easier to do business, right? I used to do deals with all the time with landlords when I started a business. And I would ask a straight question to the guy. He said, tell me what's your KPI. I want to make sure that when you go back to your boss, you look like a hero, right? So turning that question around to saying, I understand where he cannot negotiate, but I know he can give me a lot more freebie somewhere else, which is not his KPI. A simple example would be, most of the landlords don't have a KPI, or the leasing guys, on number of days, they can give me rent free to fix the store or build the store, right? It can be between 60 to 120. So I know I can push him till 120 because the guy, it's not his KPI. His KPI is only rent, right? So why am I fighting on rent? Let me get a freebie somewhere else, which exactly matches the same number that I want. So understanding other people's KPI is very important for us to see how we can make them look good in front of their boss, right? And crisis helps you build that solid relationship. A lot of times we don't have relationship capital. It doesn't show on your balance sheet, but show me what's your relationship. Be it with your banks, be it with your government, right? We heard about the cruise liner, which was having issues during COVID, right? Now imagine they had no relationship with any government or any health department. Right? If they had good relationship, they would be able to dock somewhere and get people out of it. They lost so much money because of bad relationship.
So what has been your lesson in this crisis, Nilesh? I mean, what did you go through in the crisis, right? And so how did you face it, right? Basically, how did you handle it? Because, with so many stores and retail is like probably the first one to get hit, right? So how did you manage it?
On March 5th, I had information from, because I was in the retail business group, from the government that March 19th, Dubai airport will be closed. Imagine we live on tourists in Dubai. Our customers are all tourists. And if the airport is closed, it's a clear crisis coming. We had 2,800 people that we had hired between January and February. And they were on a 6-month probation. We had to call each one of them and say, we are sorry, because we know these malls are going to be closed, right? It's better that we send you home, be it India, be it Egypt, be it wherever they are, right? And we had to send them home in 10 days because we knew the airports will be closed. It was the most difficult thing to do, but it was the right thing to do at that moment. Now we're going back to the same people and saying, come back to us, right? And we still have some of them saying, no, we have found a better opportunity. Some of them, I would say at least 60% are coming back to us. And we're taking them again into the organization to say, these people are trained. They've gone through the whole orientation and they know the culture, right? And during crisis, we got to think in that format to saying, how are we going to help each other? And how are we going to, when the crisis finishes, how are we be the first company to pick them up to say, come join us again, right? It's a difficult task to do. But as a leader, we need to take good calls, right? There was a lot of emotion, right? But as a leader, we had to do that, right? So during crisis, it is tough time to make those decisions, but we did that and it helped us. But that a lot of our competitors, a lot in the marketplace, people said, oh, what's going on with the apparel group? Since they fired in September. They were people sitting in Dubai were not getting paid. And they started firing in September, October when the airports opened up, right? Or people could go home to India or Pakistan or wherever they were going. But we need to make that quick decisions in crisis to say what we're going to do. In that, we might make some small wrong decisions. As long as the big picture is right, we'll be okay.
So be transparent, be quick, and see the opportunity in the crisis.
Yeah, opportunity in the crisis is much bigger. And it will really help us as a company to grow. Every time there's a crisis, we're waiting.
Yeah, I'm very happy to hear that, Nilesh, because this is a core belief of the UEF as well. But, when times are so tough, then to come and say, hey, there's a big opportunity and everybody is not able to pay bills, or we're not able to pay rent, or, customers are defaulting, to like kick out of that. I think that's where the, people like you also re-emphasizing that, there is opportunity in crisis, and that one needs to be smart enough to, sort of dig deeper and see it, so that I think that is quite interesting. A little bit about Dubai, Nilesh. What is the city all about, right? I mean, from where to where? I mean, you and I have been in Dubai for the longest time. We saw it only as a desert with nothing. And many people in the outside world think that Dubai is pumped with a lot of oil, and, they keep pumping it out. And rarely do people know that there is barely any oil in Dubai, maybe in UAE, but not in Dubai. So what's about the city? How do they sort of come up with something like this? And if Tamil Nadu were to learn sort of this 15x story from Dubai, what do what would you say have been sort of, lessons or inspiration from Dubai, for Tamil Nadu and for India?
So I can give you a few examples, right? When Mohammed Al-Abbar, the chairman of Emaar, went to Sheikh Mohammed and told him that we're going to take this site, which where downtown Dubai is on.
Sorry, 1 minute. I'll just tell the audience about who Mohammed Al-Abbar is and a little bit about.
My apologies.
Sheikh Mohammed is the ruler of Dubai, and Mohammed Al-Abbar is his right-hand man, very much involved in the development of Dubai city. Sorry, Nilesh, just a little bit short for the audience.
I will add a few things to it. His Excellency Mohammed Al-Abbar, what they call him, Burashid, went to US. To first few months he studied English, right? And then he went to Seattle to university. And then when he came back, he worked for the central bank. And then he went to Singapore to run a shopping mall called Wisma Atria, right? This was owned by the Dubai, one of the investors of Dubai. And then he leased it and came back to Dubai. And from Singapore, he learned so much about how the Singapore government works and everything. And the first time I saw him, when he came back from Singapore, he said he wants to do a Dubai shopping festival. That was where he was in the government. Then he left the government, but he changed the economic department completely. Have an open policy, dealing with customers instead of having that mindset of, we're against you, right? But Mohammed Al-Abbar, when he came back, he started something called Emaar Properties, which is one of the largest developers of properties. They developed Burj Khalifa. They developed all the areas that Dubai Mall is on, called Downtown Dubai, and several other areas in Dubai. He was saying, the story is saying, he went to Sheikh Mohammed when he wanted this land of Downtown Dubai or Burj Khalifa, and told him, Your Highness, we want to build a tower here. So he showed him the tower. It was ground plus 60. And he told Sheikh Mohammed that, Your Highness, this will be the Dubai's tallest tower. And Sheikh Mohammed asked him one question: which is the tallest tower in the world? Right? And he walked away. So Mohammed Al-Abbar says, His Excellency says, Your Highness, should I build the tower or no? No reply. Comes back after 1 month, he says, I got the message. Sheikh Mohammed wants the tallest tower. Comes back after 1 month and tells him, Your Highness, you're going to see something that on that land we spoke about downtown Dubai. And Sheikh Mohammed tells him, last time you wasted 5 minutes. This time, don't waste my time. And he goes, Your Highness, you'll be very happy. He went there, he showed him the tower. He said, this will be the tallest tower in the world, Burj Khalifa. And Sheikh Mohammed said only one thing: when are the cranes going to be here? He didn't ask him any details of parking, where is the finance going to come from, how many lifts are there. That doesn't matter. There's somebody who is giving a vision, like Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid. And there is somebody like His Excellency Mohammed Al-Abbar who's doing the execution. These are two different people, right? In our organizations, we need to have that kind of setting, right? You play cricket, right? You have a batsman and a runner. You need always two people. Who is the visionary and who is the execution guy? Very, very different. These are two different hats, right? And they built this tower, and it says they made $7 billion around the tower, looking at the tower. They didn't make any money on the tower, but everything around it built 7 billion property they sold properties worth $7 billion. Now, this was a desert. Doing something like this and executing in short time, that is a change that they brought. So the visionary, if you want to go from a $2 billion leather industry to a $30 billion, we need to think differently. Labor arbitrage is not going to help us. It's the brand, and what we do with the brand is going to help us and take us to the next level, right? Are we going to be relevant enough in the next, next thing that we're doing? If we're not going to be relevant, what we did yesterday is not relevant. What we're going to do in the future is going to be relevant. Like I came from gold. My father was in the gold business. 400 gold stores in Gold Souk, right? Everybody who leaves my father as a manager finds some capital and starts another gold shop. How am I going to compete with these guys? I cannot compete with them because they are in the commodity business, right? I need margin, I need a brand, and to move forward. So if you look from a Dubai point of view, the Emaar properties or Dubai became the tourist hub by doing this. Everything went down. Dubai came down with the properties came down. What did they do? Launch Expo 2020. Expo is started. I promise you, Ahmed, there is more traffic than 2006 and 7, at least double. It takes me from Jebel Ali to Dubai Mall, which was taking 20 minutes. Today it takes me an hour and a half, right? The traffic is back, number one. Number two, they changed the policies. They have the control. His Highness owns Emirates Airlines. His Highness owns the hotels. They own the country. What is His Highness's view that you always hear in seminars, and he himself says, if it's good for business, it's good for Dubai. Right? Are we doing that mindset or around us in our teams and pushing them to the next level, saying, go and move forward to do this? The other thing was, when we came back, 92, 93 from university, you go to any government department, they would never pick up the phone. His Highness told all the government employees, you will put your mobile number on the business card. You are open like 5-star hotels, 365 days, 24 hours. The customer, which is us, will not come to us. We will go to them. Imagine that shift, that the government comes to you and says, we're here to serve you, not the other way around. Right? So that big shift came in, was a game changer for saying that government is a partner. Look, Dubai police, when you would see a police car in 92, 93, 94, there would be fear. Today, you have that mindset, the police is here to help, right? Which is a very big shift, right? The business, the economic department, all government is here to help. And I use this when I get stuck in the government department. I tell them, His Highness is saying, if it's good for business, it's good for Dubai, right? Let's move, guys. And they do. Look, they changed the law with golden visa. I personally have got 130 families, golden visas from the government. Large family businesses in India, they want to make sure that a lot of them are also were thinking of moving to Singapore. Today are thinking of moving to Dubai because of this.
Fantastic. So visionary policies, big thinking, visionary policies, very friendly towards the business, government which is very friendly, extremely friendly towards business. So probably, the learnings from Dubai. So just coming back to a little bit about our industry in Tamil Nadu, Nilesh, like you touched upon it. Today, our leather industry in Tamil Nadu is one of the largest in India. Many of the people associated with us in the UEF represent probably a $2 billion leather business. They have got, they supply to all sorts of customers. They have Florisham and Bali and whatnot, So, the question is, the business is at about $2 billion today. What does it take for this business to grow 15x? In the next 30 years, if you are the CEO of this $2 billion business, you are running the entire leather business in the North Arcot belt, right? This is Nelvisharam, Vaniambadi, Ambur, famous cities in Tamil Nadu. Very reasonable, very good quality business that we do. But if this business has to go from 2 billion to say 30 billion, and you being a retailer, how would you look at this business, Nilesh?
Mohammed, I would like to add two things. Ahmed, I would like to add two things to this. Right, I'll go back a little bit to Sheikh Mohammed's vision. And he said this story at one of the YPO events when he came for the event. He said, one of the editor came to him when the Palm Island was in construction and everything else was in construction. And she goes to him, Your Highness, what percent of your vision of Dubai is done? He said 10%. Okay. And this was like a lot is done. He said 90% is remaining. He said, yes. Then she came after 3 years and when Burj Khalifa was done. And she goes, Your Highness, now what percent of your business, of your vision is done? He said 5%. So what? You were 10% before, you went reverse. He goes, when you get closer to your vision, your horizon opens up. If you're achieving your vision today, right, a lot, then your vision is too small. Right? So that kind of thinking is very, very important in our mindset of driving vision in this. Coming back to the leather industry, right? Are we upgrading ourselves or are we updating ourselves and are we being relevant to what is required, right? One of the things that is required in that is branding. What brand are we creating? I attended one of the, again, a seminar. I spend every year 1 week at Harvard Business School to learn, right? Every year I find a way to get to Harvard Business School to see how we can learn. One of the classes that I attended was Pepsi versus Coke. And everybody said, it's the formula, the Pepsi has a formula and the Coke has a secret formula. And the professor Ramon says, go Google it. You will get the formula online. Now copy it and call it Ahmed Cola. I promise you, you will not be able to sell. Why? Because they spend $400 million marketing. Does Ahmed have $400 million in marketing? Do they need to spend any money every year? Or now the brand is so big, still they spend $400 million marketing, right? You need $400 million to start. It's so difficult to do that today, right? We need to understand from the leather industry, what are we going to do to build that brand that we want to do? It's about brand instead of the product. Why is Bali making with us, but we can't make Bali? Why is Florsham making with us, but we can't do Florsham? We need to shift of owning the brands and doing that to move forward, right? I give you another example of a e-commerce company in Turkey. They're called Trendyol. Trendyol is a 10-year-old company. Demet is HBS. She dropped out of HBS and started this company with her husband. And SoftBank got in now at Trendyol, which is an e-commerce company. And the value of the company 6 months ago was $16 billion, right? Now, when you think from that point of view, what do they have? They have the tech, but they have the production of Turkey with them. They're going into Europe and they're going everywhere else. We have the production, we have the tech in India, but we're not getting married to them. We're not getting married to them in that format, right? Are we creating brands that are going to take us to next level? We know the cost of the Bali shoe. We know the cost of the Florsham shoe. We know everything, but the margin, the value creation is on the other side, not with us. If we don't move to that mindset, it'll be very difficult for us to get to 15 billion or 30 billion or 50 billion, right? We have to think differently. We need to have that kind of big vision of saying what we have, and we're going to add on top to take it. The experience that India has is amazing. The marketing and the strategies that we need to put on top will be the game changer, right? So that is where be it with the fashion industry in Tirupur or be it with the leather industry, if we don't take that advantage of moving and adding Middle East to it or adding Europe to it or adding US to it, that is where be the game changer. There's another brand from China or e-commerce player called Shein. Shein today sells so much in our market, plus into Europe and in US, Chinese brand, selling into US because they have an amazing supply chain, amazing production, right? Amazing branding. You go and look at their app, download the app. It doesn't look like a Chinese app. It looks like an app from France or Italy or somewhere like a fashion capital like Milan or something. It's amazing. So that's what we need to do to move forward. Amazing marketing, amazing branding. That Coke and Pepsi mindset that we're going to do so much that we're going to block the market and we're going to own that market. There is no third player coming to crack that. Ahmed, I hope I've answered your question.
I think there is some connectivity issue. You did have answered, Mr. Ved, beautifully. In the meantime, there is one question that has come till he gets connected. I would like to ask you, how do you expect the market to behave in the first quarter? Will retail pick up or it will still depend on e-commerce? Is one question that a member has asked.
Read, and I'm telling you from Gulf and India point of view, where we have stores in both the markets. In the Gulf region, what we have seen, the retail is flying.
Okay.
A lot of liquidity, lot of demand in the region because people have not traveled, people have not gone outside the country, and they have not shopped. So it's more like a revenge buying. Right? This is the small, all the money that the airlines lost, right, is coming in the shopping mall. There is no place in a restaurant in Dubai for at least 3 weeks. Reservations are 3 weeks. Restaurants are full. Retail is full. Business is flying. Liquidity is very, very high in the marketplace. E-commerce is also going up like crazy, right? In India, e-commerce has taken off a lot compared to offline. It's because the malls are on and off. The malls are, so once the malls opened up in certain areas, I mean, we've seen with what's happening in Calcutta last week with Durga Puja and everything, the sales went crazy. People have so much liquidity, it's unbelievable. People have made so much money sitting at home in the US, in Europe, in the stock market, that they want to go and spend money in the malls, in online. So this is really coming up in a big way.
Great. Highly appreciate. Okay, one of the member has asked, you do have experience, exposure in the Indian market as well as in the Dubai market. Your biggest challenge faced in the Indian market and the lessons learned. If you can just throw a light, it would be a useful insight for us.
You see, when we come in from Dubai, we have the mindset of saying that shopping malls is the only place that we would like to go. In India, there are two kinds of market. There's a market, what we have realized, there's a market for India and there's a market for Bharat, right? So if you want to really scale it up, we need to target both the markets. One of the brands that we do is Bath & Body Works in India. We are also bringing Victoria's Secret. Now, these brands are very good for what I call is Bharat, right? But, for India. For Bharat, we have our own private label brand called RNP, and we're going to bring them to India. And I was in Bangalore last week for that to see how we can take this.
Thank you. One of the questions from a retail person, he says, what are the retail ventures you're in? Can you just throw a light on your retail ventures?
We, in the early days, because of being in Dubai, the market size is very small. So we said, you know what, we cannot go to the factories in China or India and demand the price that we want to get in. So what we did was we went to the American brands, got the brands, the shoe brands, added our orders to that. So we don't have a minimum order quantity, but we paid them, the Americans, a premium on what, let's say, whatever their cost was, and we paid them royalty on sales. So that was our business model. So we were paying cost plus and we were paying royalty. But because they were buying so many shoes, their cost was much lower than what we would have got. So we were okay with that business model, and it really worked for us, right? For us to take it to scale. We were learning. We learned a lot, right? That's on one of the sides. One of the other retail ventures we have is a coffee chain called Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons has 4,400 coffee stores, restaurants in Canada. They have 80% market share in coffee in Canada. They were bought over by 3G Capital a few years ago, and they paid 12.3 billion for buying this. Okay. Now we got them in the Middle East. Today we have about 185 Tim Hortons in the region. We'll get to 400, and we'll be launching in India in June and July. But what we learned from that was we were dealing with the Canadians, then the 3G Capital, which is owned by 3 Brazilian guys, came in, and the whole culture of the company changed. They were private equity guys. They pushed us to take private equity. So we have 40% private equity in our Tim Hortons business. And then We have the rights to open them in India and in Egypt, which we'll be doing next year in 2022. But bringing private equity really helped us to understand how this works, right? So it is important for us to realize this strategic partnership. Is that going to help us grow, or is it going to be a nuisance? My experience has been fantastic, right? Bringing strategic partners who are going to take us to scale and who are going to help us is very important. Do we need the capital? Honestly, no. But do we need to have a mindset of saying that it's okay to share? Yes, we do. It's okay to be having a partner. It's okay to have a relationship which is going to make us multiply. So Tim Hortons, our target now is from 185, we'll go to 980 restaurants in 5 years, right? So that brings a scale, that brings discipline. We have a CEO who's running it. We have a CFO. We have a full structure on it. We also took the CEO for India called Naveen. Naveen used to be the CEO for Starbucks India. Now he's working for Tim Hortons, and he's working hard to get the restaurants open.
Sorry, I just got cut off for a bit, Nilesh. So what was the use about the 2 billion to 30 billion? So one was, you said, the branding.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Now, of course, with all due respect, my friends from the leather industry may be saying, we don't have $400 million to build a brand. I mean, if I had 400 million, I would have just gone ahead and, but the whole problem is that we don't have the 400 million. So if we don't have the 400 million, but we still want to go from 2 billion to 30 billion, what would you say, should the industry be looking at?
So let's look at it. When you have partnership with global brands, right, they teach you a lot, right? So let's understand you have a partnership with Bali, right? How many Bali other factories that we have visited, right? To understand is, why are they choosing other factories? They might be giving us 5% of the business, not 100% of the business, right? Let's understand how can we realize is what is their problem, right? Their problem is probably they don't have that in what they need, India doesn't have. How do we build that to give it to the customer that we are, right? So if I can get Bali to say, 70% of my production is in India, that will be fantastic. We got to change for that. They're not going to change. They already have a source, be it coming from Spain or be it coming from China or wherever it is. And that's what I want to understand is, are we changing and satisfying our customer? Or are we stuck with the mindset of saying, we've been doing this all these years, I don't want to change, right? So there is another way to look at it. Third is, are we building brands that we can export, right? It's easy to build brands in India. I mean, look, a lot of the guys have done very well. I can give you an example of a brand that we did from Singapore called Charles & Keith. Now, Charles & Keith, when we signed up with them in 2005, they had 5 stores. Today, they have 980 or 1,000 stores international, and they have 400 stores in China. 2 brothers, Malaysian mother, went to Malaysia, bought the product and sold in Singapore, right? Today, they are the #1 brand in Singapore for shoes, right? Now, to do this, we need to understand what went right. We, in Mall of the Emirates, in 2005, we were a small guy. One of our competitors decided that they're not going to go to this mall, and mall needed tenants. So they came to me and said, here is 16 stores we'll give you. I had 4 brands. I didn't have brands to fill them. Say, go globally and find brands. And we went to Singapore landlord like Bisma Atria and asked them which is the best shoe brands here. And they told us, go see them. We saw them. We brought them here. The design was not up to the mark of Dubai, the Mall of the Emirates. The guys who were, the designers were from Louis Vuitton or luxury end. They said, you got to upgrade the design. They upgraded the design and the store flew. Flew means we're one of our best brands that we have, right? Amazing relationship. Charles and Keith, both are brothers and they're still in the business. They got bought over by L Capital, LVMH. Came in and gave them ridiculous amount of money, right? When they came in, they put an Italian team to help them on design. Completely changed. Charles and Keith were only shoes. Today, 50% of their business is handbags. Complete change. These guys, after 3 years learning everything, bought the LVMH out or L Capital out, gave them the money and said, thank you very much. Right? And flying. The business is unbelievable. Did they change? from being a 5-store to having running 1,500 stores? Yes. From Singapore. Right? How come brands are coming out of Singapore, but we're not coming out brands from India to go global? We need to think in that format. It should say, right? Whatever it is called, Prada says Milano, right? How come we're not saying Chennai underneath it? Whatever brand you call it, right? And let's be proud of that. What we are building. There has to be pride in our business. Yeah.
So can we understand it like this, Nilesh? So you're saying if at all we have to go from 2 billion to 30 billion, be open for bringing in private capital, private equity, the big brand, strategic investors, even though we may not need the money, but bring them in because they bring in the know-how. So bringing in very high quality, maybe investors coming in and participating along would probably be a strategy. Also employing probably the real brand masters, the Italians or the French or whatever it is, for them to be already, be employed in, say, the leather belt. So let's say there are, I don't know, 500 designers, all over. I don't know if the leather industry already has it. I'm sure they probably do. But maybe emphasizing on getting this branding, sort of like a bit like what China did, right? Import the technology, get the guys everywhere, and all of a sudden they're making for the whole world. And the OEM is no longer relevant. That the China brand has become a lot stronger. So something like that, probably bring in the designers from Italy and France and other places, bring in private equity and think of vision, large scale and whatnot. I think this to me seems like the takeaways for this industry.
Yeah, one more thing I want to add here is, when I go every year at Harvard Business School, right, they do amazing case studies. I love it. But there are other two things I go for. I'm always thinking which professor from this I'm going to bring to my office for my leadership. Right? So when we go out there, we're always thinking, okay, we're learning at the same time. We're not seeing, we have someone who's going to make a game changer difference. We have a Professor Das who works with us and he's amazing at HBS. He comes with us, stays 2 days in a year and helps us build a strategy, gets us aligned, right? And takes us to the next level, right? Amazing. So it really changed us in doing that. Are we still learning and are we ready to make someone our guru and say, help us build it, right? 2, when I go to HBS, every case study they give us, right? I go online and check the stock price of that company and I just invest in that. Every one I bought has gone up like 3x or 4x. Opening that kind of mindset of saying, right, what are these large companies doing? And what can we learn from that? Be it copy or be it whatever it is, there is no harm going to them and says, I want to learn from you. We don't have that. I mean, a lot of us don't have that. Going to principals and say, can you be my mentor? Can you teach me how we do it? It costs nothing. You go to someone and say, I want to learn from you. The guy falls off. He says, okay, I'm going to teach you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, getting in the mentor, I think that's a brilliant strategy. Like, I don't know how many, I've been wanting to go back to Harvard or wherever it is, Nilesh, back to Boston, but somehow I haven't found the time, but I really wanted to do it. And, from what you're saying, it's not just about attending the classes, but also the people you meet and the professors and how can we bring them into our institutions where they give a complete game changer perspective. Very interesting thoughts, Nilesh. Sorry, I think we are overshooting time, so I better pass it on to the audience. A lot of questions. So, sorry, Kaleem, can you take up the question, please? And just share who was asking the question and put it up to Nilesh, please.
Yeah, see, there is one question which says, does successful retailer rely on brands or the brand relies on successful retailers? How it is?
You see, it depends which stage of your life you are in. When we were growing up, we wanted recognition. When we wanted recognition, any international brand, as long as I didn't lose money, I could go around and say, I have this brand which will help me bring other brands. Right? When I call in Canada today and want to talk to the brand, I say, I'm the partner for Tim Hortons and Aldo, and these are the Canadian brands. My door opens up. But I don't tell them I'm a partner with, let's say, Tommy Hilfiger or Calvin Klein, because they don't understand. And they would understand, but that will not open the door. It depends on which part of business are you in, right? number one. Number two, retail is all about execution, right? And what are you good at? Are you going to be a good executor? Are you going to be a good marketing person, right? Are you going? I mean, retail is about execution. And real estate. Do we have the relationship on ground with the landlords to get you real estate which others cannot get? Right. I was always joking in Dubai, especially when the malls had shortages. We said, give me a real estate in the mall of the Emirates or Dubai Mall. I will sell popcorn and make $1 million. So brand didn't matter. If the real estate was good, you could sell anything. But when the crisis came, you got to change the whole mode. So the brand and retail relationship is like a husband and wife relationship. You will always have an argument. We can't live without them and you can't live with them. But you got to understand is we would not take the brand if it's not $100 million sales minimum. If the brand is small enough, we always worried they might go bankrupt.
Wonderful.
Good. And identify the who's asking the question, Khalid.
Yeah.
Okay, next question, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, there is one question from a member called Mr. Sadat Satak. He is asking what kind of mindset and strategy is required to scale up and expand our business and brands.
So I can tell you a few things on it. Dubai Quality Award, guys, which came to us in the early days when we were starting. I saw the newspaper ad saying Quality Award, Sheikh Mohammed has launched. I told my guys, let's apply for it. And they sent us a big question answer thing and we had to make a full report on it and send it to them. The question was, what's the vision? And this is when we were starting. We probably had 15, 20 stores. We had no idea what the vision was, what the mission was. We filled that out. It gave us more clarity. So we said, oh, we're going to open 1,000 stores, right? And that drove everybody to that level. And then you work backwards. What do I need to do that? I need to have a relationship with landlords. I need to have the brands. I need to have supply chain. I need distribution. I need marketing team. I need to have government relationships. Whatever that is, changed our behavior completely because we have a big fat vision. We didn't look at what we did before. We said we're going to drive it and we believe in it and we're going to work in that format.
I'm very happy you're saying this, Nilesh. Big fat vision, big, hairy, audacious goals. This is what we've been trying to do in the UEF, 67.5 billion EVA creation is our target. And I get beaten by my, directors and board members and say, you shut up, this doesn't, the numbers are too big. How are we going to reach it? I said, we have to have big targets, to push us out of our comfort zone. So that, each component of UEF, has a visionary target, 15x, wherever they are, right? So look at 15x and then work backwards.
I tell you a story.
Yeah,
I quickly tell you a story, right? I have a very Emirati friend who's on the board of a bank. And he goes, Nilesh, do you want to be recognized in our bank? I said, why do you say this? I don't need, He said, no, you should try something. I said, what do you mean? Call your corporate banker. Tell him you need $100 million, right? Now, you don't need it. But he said, you tell him you need $100 million. He will go bring his CEO, lunches, dinners, everything. You get famous in the board. The proposal comes. When it comes back to you, you say, sorry, I don't need it. Now you're a very famous guy in the country. Everybody knows you by doing nothing. But you ask him, you need $1 million. No one is coming to see you. The world is that, right? So it's a very different world.
Correct.
Big fat vision. If you don't have a big fat vision, you have a problem.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely right, because if we look at these two visionary cities, right? I mean, I've had the good fortune of living in both Dubai and Singapore. And from where to where, absolutely no resources. And from nothing, a shanty town, to growing, manifold. Everything goes up. Wealth creation, real estate, brands. It's just simply remarkable. And let's say Tamil Nadu is like probably today the number one manufacturing destination in India. 37,000 factories is what we have.
Wow.
Right? Imagine mapping that with the Singapore come Dubai strategy. And this is like what the UEF wants to do. Can we bring the best of both worlds into Tamil Nadu in whatever little form we can?
Yeah.
And help support this type of imagination.
Yeah, you can. But the only thing is, are we asking the right questions?
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes we don't ask the right questions.
Exactly.
And then we get stuck with it, right? Sheikh Mohammed asked Mohammed Rabah, what is the tallest tower in the world?
Yep. Yep.
Right? One thing changed everything.
Tallest tower in Chennai sounds like a good idea. And then I don't know if my cousin Sajid is there. So maybe in our Muthucharam project from UEF, we'll look at least the tallest tower in India, maybe. The world seems a bit audacious, but at least in India, something we can try. Sorry, go ahead, Khalid. What are the other questions?
Yeah. The next question is from a member called Mr. Khalid, and he is asking which is better, either to build a brand or to partner with a brand.
We always partnered with the brand in early days, and now we are building our own brands, right? So it depends on which stage of life you're in. You learn a lot from international brands, and then you can deploy those in your own brands. But the IP, if you own the IP, the valuations that you get on your own IP is very different than being a franchisee or having a master license.
Oh, great. Highly appreciate. There is one more question from one Mr. Manzoor. He says retail shops are vanishing fast from the high streets due to the online shopping. What's the future of high street shops? And do you bring them back on the shop?
You see, as long as I would say on shopping malls, I can tell you, in shopping malls, things are changing very fast. Why in the shopping mall I'm saying that is the entertainment portion in the Gulf region in the shopping malls is much more now than the retail. Online business is fantastic, but most of the online, like with all due respect to Amazon, the fashion side of it, they've not been able to crack it, and they've been very good at commodity business than a fashion business. That's the reason Myntra does very well. Other guys do very well in India, right? And so the street retail was already moving to shopping malls. So there you have a shift coming. People from the streets going to malls and online competing with them. So it's difficult where you are, in which part of the world you are in for streets, right? But in certain parts of the Gulf region, still street retail is working.
Nilesh, I have a question for you. Just as we talk, it occurs to me, how come India doesn't have a really, really strong brand? Or maybe India, of course, such a big country, we need to have so many, probably more than 100. But you take tiny little countries, Netherlands, Switzerland, tiny countries that it's probably a little village in India. And they come up with such iconic brands, Nestle, Gucci, I mean, you name it, right? So it's not that our products are any less in quality. I mean, with all due respect to Louis Vuitton and things like that, right? I prefer some leather goods made in Ambur and whatnot. The quality is so good. But still, why? How come we are not making the cut in India?
It's a very, very important question you're asking. Think about it, right? Most of these brands are in Europe or North America. They manufacture in China and India and sell in the Middle East, right? So what are we not good at? Or what do we need to learn? Marketing, brand building, confidence. How much confidence we have on top of it? Sometimes when you see it, we forget about confidence, number one. Number two, specific to India, right? India, because being a large market, their focus is India and sometimes outside India. Then when the market grows in India, I can focus in India, forget exports, right? This has to be a religion, right? Because the rents and the cost that is out there is so high that going international has to become like a religion. If we want to do that, then we need to change the way I explained to you on the Charles & Keith thing. The landlord said, upgrade your stores or we don't let you open. They upgraded and changed. A lot of our brands will say, no, this is my standard. This is what I want in Delhi. And this is what Mumbai wants. This is not Mumbai and Delhi. The customer here, the Indian brands also, we go outside and target Indians. Why are we targeting Indians? Let's get a new customer, right? Be it Russians, be it Egyptians, be it Lebanese, be it French. No. We want to come out of India and target Indians again. When we want to be global, we need to understand this. The customer is different and we should change. Then it becomes a painful exercise saying, we have 20 stores there. In India, we have 200 stores. How can we change for 20 stores? But this is the future. Brand building international is the future. Right? If you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. There's a brand in China called Anta. Have you heard of it? 4,400 stores in China, right? Huge. We represent them in the Gulf region. They are changing for the Gulf region. Are we ready to change for the Gulf or Africa or Europe?
Yeah, Ahmad, I have a question with Ilyas here.
Go ahead, Ilyas bhai.
Can I ask now if you have completed your question?
Yes.
Yeah. What I could, it is addressed to both you and Nilesh. See, we are talking about the Dubai story, okay, or even the Singapore story. These two are mostly trading nations, okay? They are trading nations. The Indian story may be different. Now, India has got a core sector. India is an agricultural nation, an industrial nation, much larger nation, okay, with much larger resources and so many things to contend with, okay. Now, if you look at our story in India, what it was till 1991, when, okay, where the core sectors were developed, the industries were developed, okay, that story was fine. From 1991 onwards, we became a liberalized country and our story was totally different since then. Our exposure to the international world was much more, okay? And from that story, 1991, when Dr. Manmohan Singh and Narasimha Rao and all these people changed that story, and now we have come to a situation where India has a very strong, has got a very strong presence on the international scene as a large producer, as a large consumer, okay? Now when we're talking about markets, Indian products, many Indian products, I am from the marine product export sector, you well know that, Ahmad, okay? We are a $7 billion exporting sector from India. And many of our brands are well established. Our marine products, particularly the shrimps and all that, are well established in the US market and in the other markets, not catering to the Indian community, as Nilesh was mentioning. It is catering to the needs of the people there, of the citizens there. Now, the point what I'm trying to make is, when we are trying to build this up, you're talking about the efforts that are being made in Tamil Nadu by UAF and by others also. And even nationally, we want to move on so many things from our seafood sector or other sectors. Okay, even our seafood sector went up from something like $1.5 billion in 2010 to $7 billion in 2020. And it can grow more. Like leather sector also can grow more. But what I'm saying is, the model of Dubai and Singapore may not entirely be applicable to the Indian model, okay? You may have to have a different kind of story here, where you want to build up, like our Prime Minister say, make in India. Make in India, of course, always we have been making in India. How we market India abroad also is important, okay? Now, marketing not on a trading terms. The products that we make here, like China is marketing their products, how we market our production from here is also going to be very important. I think if leather has got to make it from $2 to $20 billion in due course, okay, the story may have to be different, okay. We have been different depending on support from the government and all that kind of thing. That story may also have got to change, okay. So there is a big opportunity in India. It may not be on the lines of Dubai and Singapore. It may be a totally different story. Dubai has developed well, there's no doubt about it. Singapore has grown very well, but their areas are much more small. They are basically trading nations. We are manufacturing nations. We are agriculture nations. We've got so many other.
Point well taken. Thank you very much. I think, sorry, I think we've almost come to the end of the session. And I'll just try to quickly summarize what has been my takeaway from this session, or our takeaway. During a crisis, really focus on relationship capital, Nilesh says, so to capitalize, really spend a lot. I mean, relationships anytime will help, but even more relationship during a crisis. Vision, big vision, big, hairy, audacious goals, drives people to do things, come out of the comfort zone. As far as the nation is concerned, Tamil Nadu is concerned, ease of business, very important. Branding, Nilesh has said that, branding is very important. And personally, he said that, for him attending Harvard Business School, bringing in those professors as advisors, bringing in private equity to scale up, not to be averse for bringing in money, although we may not need the money, focus on quality, international market and whatnot. So to me, these seems like all the key sort of sauces, secret sauces of Nilesh, which has helped him. I'm sure there's a lot more he's not shared with us, and 1 hour session, 40-minute session is not going to be enough for that. So thank you very much, Nilesh, once again. Really, really appreciate. I do hope, you are also going to participate in our 2 billion to 30 billion story. It'll be phenomenal if you're able to do it. I will now request my dear friend Hanif Sattar to give the vote of thanks, please.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. It's completely my pleasure in delivering this vote of thanks for this wonderful Star Trek session. Thank you, Almighty Allah, for this opportunity, for being a part of the UEF and all our friends who are part of this forum. 141 friends, it's like incredible. It's so overwhelming that we have 141 people who are here to listen to our friend Nilesh. And Nilesh, you completely made it worth it. I'm going to say something right now that every time I go to Dubai and I come back, I feel so overwhelmed. And that's the taste I have in my mouth right now after your address. It seems like you are Dubai sitting right there, staring us in our face and say, guys, get out of your comfort zone, start becoming comfortable about being uncomfortable. And everything that you said is so scary, but yet so true. So true. Lot of key points that we took away from this. Ahmed did definitely highlight a few of them. One of the beautiful messages that you gave us was relationship management doesn't reflect on your balance sheet, but it is key, which is so true. Of course, thanks so much to Ahmed for pushing the bar all the time. I mean, if there's somebody at the UEF who overwhelms us all the time, it's Mr. Ahmed Buhari, for sure. I mean, as much as we don't like it, that is the truth. But Nilesh, thank you again for explaining so many stories to us about the Burj Khalifa. What a story. I mean, I don't know the kind of wiring you need to have to think as big as Sheikh Mohammed thinks. I mean, and Nilesh, I mean, you are definitely gifted to be there, to experience this, and we are gifted to hear your experiences. This has been wonderful. I mean, it's one of the best UEF meetings that I have attended. There's so many takeaways. You spoke about labor arbitrage. You spoke about customer coming first. You spoke about if it's good for business, it's good for Dubai. You spoke about asking the right questions. And you spoke about breaking the virus of sameness by virtue of differentiation. You spoke about how the leather industry can get forward, but are we ready to get forward? And that is so true. You spoke about a company in Turkey, Trendyol. You spoke about China and Shein. You spoke about revenge buying in Dubai and how it's kicking in. You spoke about the India market and the Bharat market. And you said how India is so diverse compared to all the other countries in the world. You spoke about how private equity and strategic partnerships more often than not work, but are we ready for it? Your D-Motel story is so inspiring. I'm going to definitely get your number. Tell Ahmed to arrange a meeting for me, and I'm going to come and see you sometime where I can learn. There is so much to learn from you. You spoke about Charles and Keith, about how 5 stores went to 1,500. And you spoke about learning, yes, but are we seeing? And more than that, are we implementing? Thank you so much, Nilesh. It's been such a wonderful experience listening to you. Thank you, Ahmed, for arranging this for all of us. You have been so gracious all the time as the head of UEF, and you truly qualify to be a mentor. As much as you You get brickbats from all of us, but you truly qualify to be our mentor. Thank you everybody for being there. I'm sorry I was a little late. I did mention that I was running a bit late, and I hope I didn't miss much, but everything that I heard has been brilliant. And I think I speak on behalf of everybody. Thank you guys. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, Ahmed.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.